things, right?
Speaking of not doing okay, the New York Jets.
Oh, we're gonna start with the Jets already in our week 3 NFL recap. Like, why not? Let's peel the Band-Aid off, man. Oh my God. Oh, Jesus Christ, Josh. Where do I start?
I'm gonna my casual hyperbolic statement that I have almost every year about this team. This might be the worst team I've ever seen in my life. Awful.
Which is saying something, because they've been an absolute disaster for the last 5 years.
Man, I knew that offensive line was a problem, but I didn't know it was that bad. This is the first time I actually watched some of the Jets game. I watched snippets here and there, and they're never running NFL red zone because they never get to the freaking red zone. Of course, right? So I can never the only time the Jets are on red zone is when teams are scoring on them.
Oh God!
So I actually checked them out for a little bit, and yeah, man. I mean, I understand Zach Wilson's numbers aren't that great, but I can't put it all on him. That line is awful. I don't know how many sacks the Broncos had today, but I'm gonna guess it had to be at least 8. That's my guess.
No, I think they had 5 sacks today.
Okay.
Which is,
it felt like a lot. Justin Fields. Maybe I'm thinking the Bears. The Bears. What's another? We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about them. But listen, man, it's what can I say, man? I mean, it really hit me today watching them. I had company over, I had my goddaughter over, and just playing around with the baby and just kind of just doing some. I'm watching that miserable game, and it just hit me. It's like there's no hope. There's literally no hope. Like you know how you watch your team and there's a belief maybe this drive they'll kick it. It's no hope.
Right.
I mean, once the Jets went down 17-0, you knew the game was over. I mean, you just knew it. And that's there is no hope. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's just nothing, man. I mean, this franchise is an absolute disgrace. And it's everybody. It starts at the owner. Literally some of the worst. Listen, every team can say this, their owner's worse or their owner's bad. No, the Johnson family is completely inept. The brother, Woody, the family, they can't even distribute a fucking vaccine. They can run a football team. Forget that. They're completely inept. I mean, they're completely inept. And I start with them because it starts at the top. It starts with any organization. It starts at the top. GMs come and go, coaches come and go, quarterbacks come and go, players come and go. But what stays the same is the ownership. It's the infrastructure. They're a disaster. They are an absolute disaster. And then you head down to Joe Douglas, a guy who to me has gotten a pass. Everybody has told me how great this guy is. He's a talent evaluator. He knows offensive lines. He's this, he's that. Joe Douglas in 2 years, I think, has won 4 games as a GM. I mean, it's what are we watching here? I think last week, I forget the stat last week. I'm so pissed off that I didn't even capture it, but I heard it. It was I think out of the entire 2020 NFL draft class, the Jets draft class, only 1 player suited up last week of that draft class, or was even on the team. I mean, this is what we're watching, and it never gets better. It never gets better. And it's it just came to my realization. I mean, it just didn't come to my realization, but I finally accepted it. It's we're just in an endless cycle of suckness. Literally, we'll suck. We'll show some signs, but we'll still suck. And then the person, the GM or coach, whoever, get a second year, and then they suck even worse. And then after the second year, we're ready to fire the coach and the GM. And then maybe the GM will survive and the coach will be fired. And then the GM will hire another coach, which in turn will then hire will then get, inherit the quarterback, or maybe not inherit the quarterback, or maybe want to draft his own guy, and then we'll go through that cycle again. Or maybe both of them are gone, and then you bring in a whole new regime in 3-4 years, and then we're just doing this all over again. And then that doesn't work, and then we're doing this all over again in another 3-4 years. It's just it's a vicious cycle of just ineptitude. And that's what the Jets have been for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Other than 2015, when, God forbid, they won 10 games, but in the biggest game of their season, week 17 in Buffalo against a miserable, horrible Buffalo team, they couldn't win that game. And there went the playoffs. Outside of 2015, this team has been a disaster since 2011.
Yeah.
Poorly ran from the top on down. We've had terrible GMs. I mean, remember John Idzik? Remember that?
Yeah,
oh my God. It's John Idzik. It's just been constant, man. Constant. And then all this year, all we were sold about, Robert Saleh, all gas, no brakes. And I'm not ripping the coach. Listen, it's
I don't think it's on him. I don't think any of this is on him.
It's not on him, but you know what? I'll start putting stuff on him too, though. Listen, The Denzel Mims situation, the penalties, the dumb penalties, that's on coaching. Yeah. That's on coaching. And then the immortal Mike LaFleur, the boy genius, 34-year-old Mike LaFleur, who invented football, apparently. It's like Kyle Shanahan, in the pantheon of inventing football, it's Paul Brown, the Shanahans, and Mike and Matt LaFleur.
Sean McVay.
Yeah, forgot about Sean McVay. He was there in the initial meetings where football was conceptualized. I forgot about him. It's like the immortal Mike LaFleur, and he has been a brutal offensive play caller. Like, I'm not asking for much. I'm a realistic Jet fan. I knew what this season was about. It was about development. This was I forgot who said it. I think Brian Costello said it best. This was the AAA Jets. This was a year where it's like you're getting the young pieces ready for the next year and in the next couple of years. So I didn't expect much. But it's one thing to be bad. It's one thing to be bad, but to be non-competitive. To be non-competitive. No, like, you seriously. Watch the Jets and they don't even compete. They can't. They can't.
It's embarrassing.
I can't. Yeah, go ahead.
Ronald Taylor, boycott the games, return the fan gear, and protest in front of the stadium. Bark at the front office until they make the right moves.
Bro, we've shout out, and that's BTG, by the way. Shout out to BTG. But cool. But it's like, listen, it's like we've done that. We literally had a plane fly over practice, fire.
I forgot about that.
Like, we've had this happen, and it's like it's the same. Nothing changes because, again, the franchise is run by incompetent, clueless buffoons who never get this stuff right. They let the immortal Peyton Manning, who didn't want to come to the Jets in 1997, by the way, decided to go back to Tennessee instead of going to the Jets. But now we're letting
and then chose the Broncos over the Jets when he left Indianapolis too.
Right, but now we're letting Peyton Manning give us his genius advice on selecting coaches, and we get this buffoon Adam Gase foisted on us for 2 years, ruined Sam Darnold's career in New York,
ruined everything. I'll be honest, he ruined everything.
He ruined everything for the franchise. I mean, honestly, Adam Gase is the worst football coach I've ever seen. Like, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And listen, I root for the Jets, so there's a lot to pick from.
Yeah, you've seen your share of bad coaches.
I've seen a share of bad coaches. And it's like it just what frustrates me is that it never changes, bro. 1968 was a long time ago. I'm tired of, wait till next year. Wait till this top round quarterback comes out and the Jets draft him. Then you'll see. Like, I'm done, bro. I'm done. Again, it's one thing to be bad, but at least if you're competitive, if there's fun games, if we would have lost that game 31-27 today, I wouldn't have batted an eye. I wouldn't have complained. But to lose that game 26-0 and just really be non-competitive, show no signs
close
of
to
life.
Scoring either. Like, not even come close. I think.
And the one time we did come close to scoring, we had an offsides on a field goal kick, knocked us out of field goal range. I mean, you can't make this shit up. You cannot make this stuff up.
Right.
You have a young quarterback who you're trying. You have a young quarterback who you're trying to to nurture and mature, and what do? You take away a 6'3", 200-pound receiver who can run a 4.3 and say, no, he's got to learn the other receiver positions, or he can't even suit up. Denzel Mims is inactive, not benched, inactive. Jeff Smith and the immortal Braxton Berrios are playing over Denzel Mims.
Play, man. Like, it's not even like he's
Denzel Mims can play. Honestly, I think Denzel Mims is better than Corey Davis. That's just me. That's a hot take to some.
Yeah.
I think he's comparable.
Yeah.
Like,
he's definitely the second best receiver on the team. He's the second best receiver on the team, at worst.
And he's literally inactive.
Yeah. I think it's interesting for me because you see Sam Darnold kind of thriving in Carolina. And it's not that Sam Darnold's this world beater. Sam Darnold's not like a top 10 quarterback in this league, but it just shows like what a competent organization can do, for a quarterback like Sam Darnold. And you see how he performed in New York. And then you start to realize that, holy shit, like, as much as you want to blame Sam, and Sam did play terrible, maybe it is just, it's the roster and the organization, because Sam looks like a completely different person, like 1000%. It's amazing what he looks like after he left the Jets organization. So I look at the way Zach Wilson's playing, and I look, you can have your beefs with Robbie Saleh or whatever, but at the end of the day, the roster's just not good enough. That line is awful. You can't do anything when your offensive line.
And that's on the GM. That's on the GM. Exactly. Mr. Offensive line guru, Joe Douglas.
That's where I was going.
Knew that line needed to be strengthened.
Yep.
And listen, when we came into free agency, I said sign Joe Thuney. Oh well, Joe Thuney wasn't going to come here. He chose to go to the Chiefs. No, I don't buy this. That people don't want to come play for the Jets because they're bad. No, guys will go play anywhere if you pay them enough money.
Yeah.
Everybody knows if you're a bad team, you have to overpay.
Yeah.
So what? Joe Thuney got $70 million in free agency. Throw that motherfucker $90 million. He'll come here. Trust me. He'll be in green and white by the time you offer that contract.
Right.
Like everybody knows if you're a bad team and you're trying to make waves in free agency, sometimes you have to overpay. A lot of times you have to overpay.
Yeah.
This man knew we needed that offensive line help. He knew it. It was paramount for us to improve this offensive line. And this offensive line, if anything, might be worse than it was last year.
It is worse. It 1,000. I mean, listen, I'm going by one game that I've actually got to sit down and watch, but it was probably one of the worst performances I've ever seen an offensive line have ever.
Bro, the penalties, shooting yourself in the foot, drive after drop, the drop ball. Today it was just the drop passes.
Yeah,
which only highlights the Denzel Mims. And listen, I know Jet fans have carried on about the Denzel Mims thing. Listen, we're not trying to make Denzel Mims out to be T.O. We're not. But it just doesn't make sense to us that you have a young receiver who you took with in the second round. This isn't like Denzel Mims was a 208th overall pick. This guy was like the 50th, 60th pick in the draft. And you just refuse to play him for whatever reason. Because he just doesn't fit your scheme, apparently.
And it's interesting because going into the season, I'm like, well, you have Elijah Moore now, Denzel Mims, and Corey Davis. That's a pretty solid receiving core. I'm not saying it's one of the best in the league, but that's a core where you're like, okay, they can make plays, along with Jamison Crowder when he gets back.
Jamison Crowder situation. Is he healthy? Yeah. Is he not healthy? There's some rumors that they may not even want to play him, so they want to trade him. Oh, okay, because we're in the business of actually trading competent NFL receivers. Like, it's like, are you trying to sabotage your young quarterback? That's what I'm asking. Are you legitimately trying to sabotage this young man? I can't put this on Wilson. Listen, has Zach Wilson been phenomenal? No. Outside of one half in Carolina, he has not been that good, but he's a young quarterback. It's to be expected. But it's not on him. It's not on him. He has nothing to work with. He has no offensive line. He has an offensive coordinator who, I'll be nice, is a work in progress. Like, what does he have to work with? Nothing.
He is literally nothing. Literally nothing.
Like, you look around the league, right? You look at all these bad teams. Detroit, I don't know. Give me a random bad. They're competing. They have pieces. Detroit has Penei Sewell. They have a couple young defensive studs.
Right.
They have TJ Hawkinson. They have pieces. The Jets have nothing. They have maybe Quinnen Williams. Elijah Moore's got potential. Michael Carter's shown signs.
That's my point. Like, I do think Elijah Moore's good. I do think Michael Carter's good. And I think Zach Wilson can be good. But you can't do anything offensively if your line cannot protect the quarterback or can't create space for them. Period. It comes down to that, really. I know it sounds like really reductive, but it's just what it is. If your line can't do anything, your playmakers are not going to be able to do it. It doesn't matter who you have. It doesn't matter what skill players.
Football starts in the trenches, man.
Exactly.
Defensive line, offensive line. That's where it starts, man. If those two areas of your football team are not up to par, you're not going to be a good team. Now, obviously, there are exceptions to that rule, but for the most part, you look at it historically when you talk about football. Defensive and offensive line. That's where it starts. And the Jets, listen, their defensive line is solid, but their offensive line is shit. Again, there's nothing there. And again, we've been saying the same thing for the last 4 or 5 years. Nothing there. It's like, what are we building here? And again, this week, this front office is going to get some heat and it's time. It's like, again, it's one thing to be bad, especially in New York. It's one thing to be bad, but when you're unwatchable, when you're boring, when you're non-competitive, that's where everybody raises a flag. It's like, listen, again, if the Jets were giving up 50 points and they were scoring 37, 38 points a game, it's one thing. You could at least say, okay, well, at least they're competitive. They're having shootouts. They're trying. They're going out there and trying new things. But again, you watch that game. Is there any hope for the Jets? Like, honestly, I think the Jets would lose to some college football teams. I think Alabama would beat the Jets. Last year's Alabama team, I'll say this. The LSU team that won a national championship 2 years ago would beat this.
Burrow?
Yes.
Burrow, Chase,
Jefferson, Moss, Randy Moss's kid that was a tight end, the defense. The Jets would lose to that team. Like, look at the Broncos. Are the Broncos this like? I mean, listen. I know
The
they're 3-0,
Broncos are a
so
borderline playoff team, man.
they're a good team, but they're a
Yeah, they're a
solid
good team.
team. But the
They
Broncos
are.
are not. This isn't the '98 Broncos that we're talking about here.
Right.
All right, and they're missing like half their guys on offense as well. And
The
they
best
just
wide receiver,
and
yeah.
honestly, the fact that it was 26-0 is a credit to the defense. The defense has been the one good thing about this team. Like any other defense, that's a 40-0 game. Easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
Listen, I hate it. I hate that it's become so much Jet centric. We'll move on, I promise. But it literally is just no hope. There's just no hope. And it just hit me today. It's like there's just no hope with this team. No hope. And then you watch the press conference and it's like, oh, we gotta, the same coach speak. Oh, we gotta trust the process. And this is why I can't, like, I couldn't be a coach or I couldn't be involved because it's like I can't.
What would you say? Coach Manny Brown steps into the press conference.
Listen, through 3 games, we're 0-3. I would say it's a results-driven business, and we're not getting results. So we have to change it up. It's like the Mets. The Mets have had an offense that didn't hit for like 99.9% of the year. And there you go, Luis Rojas trying out the same lineup every day, no changes. It's like at some point when you're seeing the same thing over and over, change it up. Drop a guy down in the lineup. Bring a guy up from AAA. He can't be any worse than what you're seeing. It's the same thing in football. It's the same thing in basketball. Change it up sometimes. If a guy's not producing, take him out for a couple games. Same thing on offense. Try a wildcat. I don't know. Up-tempo. Something. Jay Feely is basically coaching the Jets from the booth saying, hey, why don't they try some more up-tempo stuff? Some RPOs. Something. Nothing. It's the same dry, vanilla offense the entire game.
Which is
are you trying to win? Are you trying to win?
He comes with this Shanahan tree, and I'm expecting this whole like innovative like zone scheme.
No, of course not. like typical Mets Jets fashions, we always get the sucky part of the duo. Like, in typical Jets fashion, we'll get the bad LaFleur. We won't get the good LaFleur. We'll get the bad LaFleur. I don't think we can
judge Saleh too harshly, man. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think this is on him. I think any coach in the NFL, even Belichick, would have a hard time winning with this roster.
Yeah, listen, I'm not trying to jump down on Robert Saleh's throat. Like, I'm not. I get it. I'm realistic. But again, the dumb penalties, the trying to pigeonhole Denzel Mims into being a player that doesn't, great coaching is about getting the players and getting the best of them, putting them in the best situations that they're able to succeed. Not, this guy doesn't fit my system. Like, who the hell is Mike LaFleur? How many games is he? How many Super Bowls has Mike LaFleur won? Now he's telling this kid Denzel Mims, no, we're not going to. And then what pisses me off and pisses a lot of Jet fans off, right? It's like, it's fun. One thing that I hate when coaches or GMs or whatever do is that when you talk down to fans. Like, fans know the game, especially fans in New York. Like, we know the game. So we're not I'm not saying I'm X's and O's, I'm this, that, and the other. No, but I know the game and I know what I'm watching. Don't lie to me. Don't tell me Denzel Mims had a great week of practice and he practiced with the first team and he's inactive. Like, come on, like, you're insulting my intelligence here. Like, come on, like seriously? Seriously? Like, that's what it really is. Like, come on, man. Like, who are you talking to? Like, this isn't some dumb fan in Timbuktu, Iowa, that you could be like, oh, okay, sure, coach says he's practicing well, I guess we'll take that. Like, no, this is New York. Like, really? Really? This is what you're telling the media, the fan base? Like, no, come on, man. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. Like, what are you telling us here? What are you telling us here? Like, I'm done ranting because I can't. It's just disgusting. Credit to the Broncos. They did what they were supposed to do. They beat a hapless team like they were supposed to do. And it's bad, man. It's bad. And they'll probably go 0-4 because they play the Titans at home next week. And they'll probably be 0-4 for.
They may not win a game, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. They look awful. I don't know what team they can beat right now. They're the worst team in the league.
And that is the issue right there, Josh. That's what you just said. It encapsulated everything amongst all the ranting and raving that I've been doing. That is the key point. Where is the progress? That is what every Jet fan right now is asking themselves: is where is the progress? Are we better than we were last year? Where's the progress at the quarterback position? Not Zach Wilson's fault, but where's the progress? It feels like we're just literally watching the same quarterback play, just with a different quarterback. Instead of Sam Darnold, it's now Zach Wilson. We're watching the same O-line. The defense is, I guess, better. I guess that's progress. Again, where's the progress?
There's none.
Please
they've gone backwards since last year, like absolute backwards.
He comes here with this 2 tight end system. You don't have 2 tight ends to run a 2 tight end system, but nonetheless, we're gonna keep forcing the 2 tight end system, the immortal Taylor Crofts and Ryan Griffins. But then you're telling me Denzel Mims can't play. Like literally, and I quote, we have to find ways where Denzel Mims can help us win. I literally lost it. I'm just like, really? A guy who's 6'3", 207, can run a 4.3, can't help you win football games?
Braxton Berrios, man, come on.
who had a massive drop in today's game too. Oh God. Let's move on because I can't. I can't with this team. I can't.